Welcome to a Drop Tent Media production.
The Porcupine with Adam Nutter.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome, Porcupine. Adam Nutter. Hey, you know that, though. Real quick, we're live, so let's get some fucking show dates out of the way. Oh, first, follow me at Adam Nutter on Twitter. That's all I really give a shit about. Twitter. Go Twitter now. Go to Twitter now, at Adam Nutter. Follow me there. So it's live. We're live. So tomorrow night, June 2nd, 9 p.m., I'll be at the Stand, New York, coming out to that show. It's going to be fucking a blast. Downstairs room, I think, so coming out. June 11th, pop in Chalfont, Pennsylvania. I won't be there. I'll be in Mexico. Fuck yes. But there's a show there that Drop Tent puts on, the same one we do monthly. So go to that, droptent.com/events for tickets. June 14th at like 8 p.m., I'll be at Helium in Philly, coming out to that. Tickets are available at the Helium's website. Then July 9th and 10th, I think tentatively it's still happening. I'll be with Robbie Bernstein at the Whiskey Rebellion doing stand-up. Not sure if that's happening or not yet. So it's tentative, but if that goes on, that's happening, I'll be there. Then August 12th and 13th, I'll be in Steamboat Springs, Colorado with Kyle Ruff. Come on out to that. Get your tickets, droptent.com/events. And go listen to Cult of Us. cultofus.com, youtube.com/Cult of Us. Go subscribe. My comedy podcast. No politics there. Just dick jokes. I promise. All right. Fuck, man. All right, guys. My guest this evening, we're going to be talking Reno Reset because it was a big weekend for the Mises Caucus and Libertarian Party in general, and anybody in the middle who isn't a fucking cunt and actually cares about liberty. That's what I think. So if you guys, my guests to help me out, two people were there. One wasn't, like I wasn't either. So my polar bear, brother bear, Leighton Radner, Mr. Tyler Janke, and Mr. James Jenneman. Gentlemen, how are ye?
Hi guys, how are you?
Hello.
Good. What kind
first of all, go. What's up? Who's saying what? Tyler, you saying something?
I just said I'm doing good. I just waited for these losers to chime in first because they seem that kind of people. So.
Losers. That's fair. No, they are. Everyone here is a loser, including me. Guys, I'm super jealous that I wasn't there. I couldn't. I had prior shows and stuff I had to do. You guys were there. Tyler and James, Leighton and I weren't. Being there, how was it? Like the fucking energy? Like, give me your fucking takes on the whole weekend, like your whole week there.
James, why don't you were really active.
Yeah, you were actually super involved. So like, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the best weekends of my life. Am I audible? Am I okay sounding?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was one of the best weekends of my life. I was on the Mises Caucus floor team, which means I've been staying up till 1-2 in the morning every night for several weeks, meeting, prepping, documenting, etc. And it really paid off. It was great. We had our kind of what I don't know what you call him. He's like a coup master. He's a parliamentarian named JJ out of Philly, and he was sort of our mastermind. He's a retired parliamentarian whose like specialty is these takeovers. He's done it like even with churches and stuff like that, where like the congregation wanted to oust a pastor or whatever.
Fuck yeah, hostile church takeovers.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So like that's just what he does. And so we had him in our pocket. He was really wedded to the Karen Ann case when she got fucked over by the LNC, and she told him, "Hey, here's what we're doing." And he was like, "I'd love to help." It's probably the last project he's ever going to work on. He's technically retired, so he's not going to be doing any like, actual parliamentarianing, and he did it all for us for free. So anyway, it was super exciting. Like was mentioned, I was behind the mic a whole lot of the time. Even got to get into it with Nick Sarwark a couple of times.
Dude, there's a really funny picture of you out there.
There's so many.
Mike, and you're just like this in your phone, just like
Yeah.
Casually not gonna give a shit what this fucking tool's saying.
Every time the camera would cut and James was on, it was a new experience. It was a new meme.
Just looking annoyed. Yeah, the one with me on my phone. My boys from Minnesota, Sam Whiplinger and Derek.
Sam was
I don't think Derek uses his last name, so I'm just gonna call him Derek James. Were like in the background there. Derek, he just kind of hogged the mic the whole time. He would every so often get up and just kind of, once it was his turn to come to the mic, he would be like, yeah, y'all go to lpmn.org and buy our merch, like just like random stuff, hawking the Libertarian Party of Minnesota just to keep the horrible people off the microphones.
James, could you point your camera down a little bit? People are
I can
about your fucking angle.
I still say one of the best like on-stream moments was the camera cuts to Mitch Connor from Florida, and he's wearing his own merch, the Smith Revolution 24 stuff, and he pulls it down and gives this face, and it is the most memeable image.
Dude, there were so many funny memeable images, from that weekend, like the Starwalk head down, the one I just said with you guys behind him is so funny. There was one with him pointing, and I said he looks like Jeremy Piven in Old School. You're like, this man accosted me. It's like you just fucking ran into him. We all saw. By the way, I have to point out the hackness in the fucking chat. 4 people made the same exact joke.
What was it?
This joke. This is why you guys aren't comics, and you guys want to shit on me. Think outside the fucking box. It's the obvious joke, you fucking hacks. God damn.
I'm not gay.
Jesus Christ. No, you are.
I met James.
You ride a bicycle. You are gay. That's actually no. You're right. You're worse. You're something else.
Let me just tell you.
You're
He's asexual automatically.
You're an awful person. You ride a bike. You're just a piece of shit.
I met Nick Gillespie, and I was hanging out with Reed and Brian McWilliams, and I met Nick Gillespie, and we started having a conversation. I had a shirt with Tour de France stuff on there, and he gets so intrigued that we are having this conversation that he followed me on Twitter so we can talk later. So fuck you. I got the look. I'll just say about the whole weekend. It was shining on me personally. I met so many great people. Dave came up and he looked at me and he goes, "I know you. I just saw your podcast." Now he didn't probably watch the whole thing, but that was really cool. I take pictures with him. I met James. Brian McWilliams sat by me. And he is a fucking class clown, and it made the whole thing endurable. Anyway, it was great. I had a wonderful time there. But as far as all the stuff goes, and James will probably attest to this too, and you've probably heard on another podcast, the first day was unbearable, and with all the parliamentary stuff and the going back and forth. When you look back at it, you're like, oh, that was necessary, and we had to get kind of through that, and it was important. But man, it made me want to just set fire to that place and leave.
That first day was pretty awful for me too. We were still kind of getting our sea legs as far as like how to make motions and stuff. I mean, it wasn't my first convention, but it was my first convention being actually like active at the mic and stuff. So
they did set you down that one time.
Yeah, I know. I remember. And she was wrong too. If I had known why she was wrong, I could have argued it, but I didn't have my citations for.
I was yelling at the TV when she did that because I was like, I think he's right. like there's a way he's right. I know he's right.
I think it was like a motion to recess or something like that. I don't remember. It was some sort of finer point of parliamentarianism.
I'll just say I got there on Thursday and we went to the Dave stuff. And my wife went with me just because she was bored here and she was just going to go hang out. But she said one of the first things she goes, "Why did you bring me to Comic-Con?" That was a pretty accurate statement.
James, it's right. Yeah, you're gonna be like running that shit in like 2 years.
Yeah, I'm taking a parliamentarian class. I mean, I would love to be the next JJ, to be honest.
Yeah, as Audrey says, Reno not quite as exciting, but every bit the bloodbath as Williamsport. Yeah, PA was, as James, that
was fun too.
PA was fucking fun.
PA was where Heiss saw me behind the mic for the first time and was like, "Oh man, I should probably tap him for national." So I'm glad I went, even if it was kind of a waste of time for me.
Yeah, Sarwalk was not as dramatic on PA as he was in obviously as he was out in Reno with the whole calling the cops and shit thing. But he was still, trying his
I think he
hardest.
called the cops still.
He definitely did.
At that point, he didn't have the Smollett situation to look back on as historical anchor for what he was planning.
It really is similar. I mean, when you see the what happened, the video, and then the fact that he called the cops on that guy, which nothing's going to happen because there was video there, but he tries to ruin some guy's life in a sense for a political story. Despicable.
He's a Fed, so that's what Feds do. They Fed.
For real. So he didn't call the cops on me, thank God. But he did threaten to call security on me. We got into it on the floor. Well, off to the side of the floor, over by like a water jug thing. I walked up to him because the day before this conversation took place, he had warned us. He was like, "Hey, you guys don't want to do what you're doing. The reason you don't is because it's not actually going to make things more efficient." We all thought we were going to speed things along by like, I don't know. I don't quite remember. It might have been like lowering vote thresholds or something like that. Anyway, he goes, "Look, we've done this before. It's going to take longer to vote than it's going to save you time. Just don't do it. It's not even worth it." I've chaired a number of these things. I've been to even more. What you're saying you're going to do, you don't want to do. So I was like, appreciative of that because it imparted upon us some historical knowledge. And I thought, hey, this is kind of an old guard dude. Maybe that's his role. Maybe he does need to impart upon us the historical knowledge. So I went up to him the next day. I said, "Hey, Mr. Sarwark, my name is James Jenneman. We've met once before. We were both kind of drunk." He remembered. He was like, "Yeah, we met in Pennsylvania. I remember you." Which, typical politician, but also kind of cool. So I said, "I wanted to thank you for letting us know that what we wanted to do wasn't going to be the right move." And then I said, and he said, "Sure, you're welcome," or whatever. And then I said, I made the mistake of saying, hopefully, after all the dust settles after this, we'll be able to kind of work together or whatever, just the platitudes that you say to somebody who's your opponent. And he said, "No, I don't think that's going to be possible. And let me tell you why." And he started telling me all the reasons that Mises is wrong and he's right and blah, blah, blah. So we argued back and forth for a couple of minutes, and it came down to him shitting on Dave, bringing up the fucking Soho Forum debate again. And
that's so funny.
That's pretty gay.
He's acting like a guy who like his chick broke up with him 7 years ago, moved on, has kids. He's like that one time in high school, like she broke up with me at the prom, and like if she just didn't, I would have my shit together. It's like that's how he's acting.
Vice versa. So, it's a girl who got good dick hitting up her ex, being like.
And he told me that he thought that Johnson Weld was a radical libertarian. Ticket. I was like, what? Like these guys are centrist Republicans at best. And that got me a little bit, my emotions rise a little bit, and I shouldn't have gotten emotional over this. I really shouldn't have. But then he somehow it got into the lack of messaging in 2020. And how they completely ignored that COVID even was a thing. And when I brought up COVID, he was like, this is where I'm going to bring this conversation to a stop. And he started to walk off, but I was in the middle of a sentence. So I started to like follow him towards the door just so I could finish my sentence. And that's when he was like, "You don't want me to call security on you." I'm like, what? Come on, dude. I'm not even like raising my hands. I'm not like being animated. I'm making my point and finishing it because you're walking off in the middle of a sentence. Don't treat me like a punk. Like, I mean, obviously we're not going to finish this conversation on good terms, but at least let me finish my sentence. Right.
Okay. I want couples all the time when they're going through divorce to don't be around each other because of the restraining order issue. And Nick is that prime person calling the cops. Before, what he was doing with you, James, was a warning of, "I'm on edge. I will fuck you over and call the cops." I mean, he's insane. What's interesting too, he made two comments there. He said he's going to raise $3.5 million to run against Mises candidates. But I'm like, and you couldn't have raised that kind of money when you were in charge of the LP.
Right.
Now you're going to do it. And then the other one is, remember the little clip with Dave? I posted it up there where he's like, "Yeah, you vote for Cheney, you vote for Hillary, you even vote for Hitler, right? But it's the LP that's important." Until I leave, and now it's only when it's important about who I want, right? He's a mixed bag, and is a horrible person. I really believe that. And as much like Joe Jorgensen, I mean, people want to give her some credibility, but what she said about Dave was so specific and everybody wants to check out my little breakdown of that, I do. And she's a horrible person for what she did there as well. And they don't deserve any kind of respect. I'll respect a lot of people that were there this weekend that don't agree with us. Just real quick, I was in line on Sunday morning for coffee, which was a horrible line. James could probably attest to this. And there's a guy that's sitting behind me. And by the way, he looked just like old Clint. He had a shaved head, and he had been voting against us the whole time. And he didn't know who I was, but he's talking.
Did he also have an old gay Reed Coverdale boyfriend next to him?
Everyone was old gay Reed because there was beards plenty there. But he was saying, hey, they took over. They raised a ton of money. They were organized. You know, it was actually very efficient. Back to what James was saying, what actually did take place. And he's like, I hope they push this and they are successful with this. And I was like, I like that he's, you know, there's an older guy, older ladies, and that they were actually accepting of that and that they see that, you know, there could be some progress with that. So congrats on them. Embrace those people and fuck Sarwak.
Yeah, I think that after looking at everything over this last convention, kind of as an outside viewer watching the stream, it seemed to me that the Mises people were trying to move things along as quickly as possible, and the only hangups that were on stream were from people that were clearly not Mises affiliated.
James could probably talk to that. That was their tactic.
I was gonna say, James, right in Pennsylvania, that same thing happened in Pennsylvania, where they were like Sam Robb, who headed the convention at the time for PA, was literally talking like he was like, "We are not slowing things down on purpose." I'm like, "You are." No one talks like that.
Yeah, that's I don't understand, because even Aaron Starr from California, who in a lot of ways is on our side, he does that, and I don't get it. I don't understand why when you get behind a microphone, all of a sudden you become super thoughtful. Like that's just not what happens. I don't know. I mean, I've been behind plenty of microphones, and I talk faster behind a mic than
I was going to say, if anything, you get more nervous because you're not used. Most people aren't used to it, and you start to be like, freeze. You just want to get your info out. You don't start to pontificate. Also, who the fuck are you, fucking Plato? Suck my dick.
Yeah,
like, you're fucking Nick Sarwark and Sam Robb. Like, I don't even have a problem with Sam Robb, but like the whole thing of like, you know, it's like, come on. I know what you're doing. Like you're not some fucking philosopher. Like you're not gonna spit out the craziest, most thoughtful, mindful shit I ever heard in my life. You're just gonna say some other boring Lobert shit I've heard 1,000 times already. Shut the fuck up.
By the way, I think it's also important on the time thing. So our whole idea was to get this done. They're going to delay until Sunday comes, and the planks are not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to get those done or what have you, and then we'll have to go home, and they're not taken care of. Okay, thank you, Karen Ann. But Sarwak, and they're slow playing a vote, okay? And it's slow, and it's slow, and it's slow. And then Nick gets up there. Then we find out that the building, we actually don't have it till 3. That's just the live stream. We have it till midnight. And their whole game plan goes out the window. And he gets up to the mic, and he says, and he admits that that's what they were doing, right? And we were ready to vote that ballots are done. We're going to count them no matter if you have them in or not. And that's, I think, why he was over getting in a fight. But he's like, it's a 2-minute warning. Now that 2-minute game, now we've decided we're in overtime. Those strategies are over, people. So they don't have a Discord and a way to communicate like we do. So that was his way of signaling to everybody, okay, strategy's done. We've got to try something else. And he basically admitted exactly what we were accusing him of. It was crazy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I like how
you can hear that play out. You can hear that play out on the stream. Like if you, for instance, you can hear when the commotion with him starts. You can hear him moving around the room and everything if you actually listen, because you can hear him talking as he's going around. And I do think he kind of pre-planned that whole thing. The guy who's leaving the microphone is walking in a straight line. Like Sarwark walks into him by every definition of the word. Like,
by the way, Karen's comment was the one maybe of the weekend from the whoever was chairing the meeting. So
Karen Ann always kills.
Yeah, she's I like how
Yeah.
So, somehow, someone I guess we have a mole, but someone leaked the fucking the floor plan for like.
I think everybody expected that to happen. Some asshole was
probably,
gonna be a
dude.
dick.
You're probably right. Obviously, right. But
one of the suspects of the leak was a guy from South Dakota whose name I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try.
Never would have guessed.
Benedict something.
Benedict
Arnold.
Yeah, exactly.
Arnold. Is it Arnold? Feeling traitor? Is it traitor?
We elected him our alt for Region 6. He was pretty freaking based on the first LNC meeting, and I actually confronted him about the leak, and his response was just to look me in the eye and say bullshit. I saw it online before I saw it in the Discord. So I mean, it's possible that he was the leak. It's also possible that he wasn't. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I wish I could remember his last name. It's Mark something. But
it's also
hopefully he's got the next 2 years to clear his name, because he seemed like a really cool dude. And he's got LNC experience too, which we is also needed. There's a few other old hats on there, but
I just think it's funny how like that got leaked, and then again like the Cathedral guys and stuff, like they posted like, this is the MC floor plan. It's like being organized and prepared.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yes,
that's the floor plan.
It was drafted in a sense. My understanding, I was like behind, just kind of following along, but it was drafted in a way to front load it, get Angela, boom, quick, Josh or Eric or whomever, the LNC and the VP and the chair, and then just steamroll everything else, so that you had the important stuff done up front in case something bad would happen. And we barely got that through, thanks to Toad and his bowels. If everyone hasn't heard that story, go check it out. Almost everywhere. It's disturbing.
I haven't heard the story. Can you give us the summary? Since,
yeah, please.
Sure. We had Whitney's up there chairing it, and they do the 2/3 the vote to adopt I think the agenda. And she says, nope, it doesn't pass, which was crazy because it was super close. So then we do a standing vote. Toad has gone and overdone himself on multiple meals already. He indulged like some sort of raging bull in the luncheon line, ate every single dessert he could, and his bowels were about ready to give out. Okay, so he's standing up in line, waiting to vote, and barely votes, stands up, runs and craps himself, and we end up winning by, I think it was literally a vote on that. So it was, he thinks his bowels saved us, or his bowels almost, and that's, everyone else is fine, but I don't know what his problem is.
Way to go, Toad. Thanks.
What was it like for when you guys voted for like Angela, like to get like, was it like just a like resounding like fucking like yes, like finally like a did you guys like physically feel like a weight almost lifted out of like the
she won like 69% of the vote.
Crazy.
It was way more than were like Mises official members or whatever. It was such a great victory for us. I literally was in tears like for much of the last couple of days. Most of it was lack of sleep, but also, it was just emotionally overwhelming. It was so cool seeing our team just kind of run away with this thing and really just kind of vanquish our opponents. I'm hesitant to call them enemies because these people are probably going to be working with us. At least a lot of them will. I don't anticipate working closely with Starwark in the future. But there's a lot of people who we're going to need to mend bridges with. Is that the word? Build bridges, rebuild bridges, whatever it is. Make amends.
I'm not an engineer, James.
Yeah,
I am.
That's obvious. I mean,
are you telling me the no sleeves says I can't be an engineer? Wow, it's fucking.
Did you cut those yourself?
Racist.
The Angela vote was a relief because the 2/3 adopting the agenda was so close, and so we were worried. And then boom, that just hit. The emotional one to me though, and she's been in the chat, is the Karen Ann, where we reestablished her, and then she immediately handed over the mic back to I'm trying to remember the guy's name that did a good job. That was like kind of like got me, and then Brian's hand might have been on my lap too, but otherwise it was emotional.
So Meredith's saying that fucking a bunch of LPCA ex-con rage quit over the weekend. Yeah, it's so many. I mean, the Cathedral Caucus burnt down. They sent out this giant. Dude,
I posted that one on Twitter with the slideshow of everybody smiling and hanging out. the night of, and then it just has their Facebook post, and then the Sarwark hands and face. I'm like, boom.
Here's what I've been saying, and we've all been, it's not just me, we've all been saying this, is go, okay, we're all so bad. We're racist, we're bigots, we're fucking this. Out-recruit us. It should be really easy to out-recruit us.
Right.
Not only did they not out-recruit us, they didn't even come a third close to fucking out-recruiting us. And then they fucking all rage quit on top of not out-recruiting us. And it's like, and then you go to, again, like the Cathedral post, right? They're giant on this Facebook thing, this giant, like they're fucking like farewell sign off. Like it's with tears in our eyes. And then it's like 5 likes. And then you look at the comments, it's us trolling them. it's
James,
not even like no one cares because you guys don't have support, which is my point behind this whole rant. You guys do not have support. No one gives a fuck. The same 23 of you, or whatever the number is, 47 people that really care, you all fucking sit around and jerk each other off in your little circle jerk of your dumb ideas. And it's just the same exact group of people. They're not gaining new people. If anything, they're turning people. So it's like, yeah, there's zero engagement, just like in real life, just like online, just like wherever you go, we're better. That's just how it is.
So one thing that I think should be explained, and James or Tyler, either one of you probably know this a little bit better because I know the whole story, but probably better to have one of you lay it out. The gala where the donations were taking place was one of the things that some of the people read about post convention, talking about how there was like $1,500 raised or something. They left out the 37 lifetime members, which is kind of hilarious. But one of the things that I heard kind of took place was that there was a gala event, but that there wasn't an attendance of people who were really going to donate. And that was kind of made obvious. It was kind of thrown together.
It wasn't together. It's thrown together. It's been planned, but I mean, I don't know. James, did you go? I certainly did not. I wouldn't want to be caught dead there. It had no interest for me.
I didn't go. They have that event every convention, from what I understand. It's always a masquerade ball. I knew one person with a ticket, and he didn't go. We went to dinner together instead. It's basically the party establishment doing party establishment things.
I was gonna say, and I think so that's anti what we are. Right. It sounds so, but that's what they want to be, though, right? Like that's the regime libertarian. They want to be in DC with the reporters and the fucking left and right people being like, right, fucking gun control, whatever the fuck.
at the same time as the gala is always what's called the Povertarian Pizza Party, and the Povertarians are the libertarians who can't afford to buy the ticket to the gala. We're just going to pronounce gala, and gala with every possible pronunciation tonight if we can. And so the Povertarian Pizza Party is sort of the class warfare version of the night 2 events, and that's a lot of fun. Some of the Povertarians are pretty woke, and so I mean I don't really hang out with them because I'm really just hanging out with the Mises people, and maybe that's to my own detriment. But
never.
Those are kind of the night 2 events. For me, it was dinner and bed because I was already just fucking beat.
I want to talk about what you said there, Leighton, though, about them raising money. I don't know anything about that. All I know that is they got what 200,000 or so after the convention. So I don't know that and the lifetime memberships, Leighton, had anything to do with that night's reporting. I just know like Toad, once Josh got in, he's like, boom, he did it.
So Toad was accounted in that. I know Joshua Smith posted on Twitter that there were, at that point, at the end of the convention that night, 37 lifetime members, which is like $55,000. It's $1,500 a person.
Looks like pull up Meredith's thing there because it looked like she got a man whore. Yeah. I don't understand.
I do not understand how this is possible.
No,
Meredith, I spent $1,268.95 on dinner.
Did you buy another man?
No, we don't actually do that in the Mises Caucus. We're not buying.
No, I meant for sex. Man for sex.
Oh, for sex. Well, I mean, yeah, we do.
I made that meme about the brothel lines and used the communist bread lines on Twitter, but she took it all the way, I
guess. Jacob had a real question. Hold on, let me get to it. He said, "Serious question." Wait, are you kidding or is this a joke?
Oh no, I'll talk about this. I know about this.
I thought he was trolling me.
Read the question.
He said, I heard someone named Ari, I guess, was assaulted and filed a police report. Anyone know anything?
Yeah, so I can
It was
run
like
this
day
down.
1 or 2.
I actually have a link to the so-called evidence video too that I can send out to people if they want to see it, because it's unlisted on Adam Kokesh's channel, because it doesn't show anything. But there's a supposed assault that took place between this one person and another. It was on tape to an extent, the kind of commotion and aftermath of it. But from what I actually understand, there is really not much anything to go off of. Like, the person hasn't been identified from what I understand, or if they have, it's not been made public. And from what I gather, there's a conflict of story going on, but the story is that the person like grabbed their wrist and called them a freak. And the entire thing is a little bit
CAH
retarded.
Wasn't assaulted.
So yeah, so I don't know this person's history, and I've heard that they have a history of this exact thing, and like being kind of touchy-feely with people.
Daniel says, I heard Bill Sorensen was shoved by someone.
There was a few videos. There was something day 1. Kokesh was involved, or like film. No, that was maybe day 2. He filmed
the
it.
Sorensen thing and the other one were at the same time, I believe,
Gotcha.
in the same little kind of pocket. It was a dispute over filming, and I believe Sarwark was the one that they were filming.
From what I understand, it was Sarwark's bodyguard that shoved.
What?
His
bodyguard?
Bill.
It was, yes. That's
Bill,
what I was told.
Bill's in the Minnesota delegation, so he told us about it. But
what is it?
Yeah. He sent me a picture of the guy so that I would have it on my camera too.
I can send you the video of it happening if anybody wants it. I mean, we could technically watch it in here. I watched it on my show last night. But it's interesting, and I'm surprised that, like, to me the video is more evident of like his bodyguard being retarded and the
CAH says the person in the wheelchair said they were assaulted.
Oh, actually, you know what I think?
There was a guy in a wheelchair at Dave's show. That's the only one I saw, but it could have been more.
Yeah, and you tipped it over to prove a point. But
apparently there's thousands of them in the crowd that couldn't stand. That's all I know.
Cows
needed a better chair. Hey, my wife wants to sit down.
The number of people who simply can't stand up in that convention had to have been such a large number that
Dude.
You know, I mean, I didn't see too many of them. There was a lady behind me who was raising her little sign rather than standing, but
no one can stand up.
Maybe it was on the other side of the assembly.
No one can stand up, and everybody's fucking diabetic.
Yeah,
that was the takeaway.
I mean, if you're diabetic, no, I'm not. But if you're diabetic,
he's retarded.
You're planning for it. You've got to take something into the hall there. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there were a lot of people who needed to have their lunch right on time.
Yeah, bro, it's the Libertarian Party.
That was all a
fucking diabetic people there.
I said on Twitter the second day, the morning of the second day, I posted on Twitter, can all the other fats remember their snacks this time?
Oh, that was who said that?
That was me.
That was you, right? That was so funny.
I said that on Twitter.
Can
all the other fats remember their snacks this time? I was like, fucking Jesus Christ.
I'm not gonna lie, David Hines and the Idaho table did have gushers, and I really wanted to walk over and ask him for some. I resisted the urge, but I do love me some fruit snacks.
James just standing there on mic with a Bud Light and a thing of fruit snacks.
That's how everybody felt, though. They felt what James was doing. Like, I want to. That looks awesome. I want to just fucking chug beer and fucking.
James is like,
I mean,
am the mic.
Mark Claire talks about getting your shit together before doing this, and I'm like, okay, now you're already there. Prepare. I mean, it's not that tough to just get a candy bar to take with you to the convention. Something. These are adults, and if you're a fatty, no offense if you guys are, you know you need your shit. So it was once again it was a tactic. I was about it.
How was it when Josh Smith won? What was the room like?
Well, I was thrilled, but I mean that was contentious even inside the caucus.
I know
the Discord was kind of blowing up with debate and things like that. I mean I was supposed to give his nomination speech from the stage to like bring in Dave Smith, But after I thought that I had destroyed a lot of my goodwill with the assembly on the first day. Apparently I misread that and people were still, behind me.
Why'd
Which
you
is
think
cool.
that?
Well, because of my couple of motions that got shot down, and I was trying to bring motions from the floor, which is where you turn around and face the I keep wanting to say the congregation, face the body, face away from the chair, and like take the chair ship onto yourself. But I did it wrong, and I felt foolish, and I just was kind of embarrassed after the first day. I feel like I made up for it on the second day, especially with a more cooperative chair. But yeah, it was.
Someone tried to make do a condemnation of him on the mic the first day, and that didn't go over well.
Yeah, Karen Ann saying that Joshua had no idea I was going to do that motion at the first meeting. That was, what was that, when she uncensored him or whatever?
Yeah, they rescinded the censure and expunged the minutes. Expungement of the minutes is really kind of a cool little ceremony. What they'll do is Karen Ann, as the secretary, will take a pen and draw a line through the minutes where he was censured.
Cool.
It doesn't like erase history. It's just like a symbol. You put one line through it so that you can still read it. But it just shows like, hey, we repudiate the previous boards.
It's so dumb because censoring means nothing. It's just like, we don't like what you said. It's like, all right, well, too fucking bad. I
think what happened to Karen Ann though was problematic because my understanding is you get removed from a board like that or a committee. It can have implications outside, getting a job or something like this. So
well, if
that
you're
was
a public
important.
figure, especially.
Yeah, so that was important to redo.
Josh winning was fucking like the big part for me, and it was such a contentious thing that I was screaming at the TV the whole time because I was very vocal about my opinions on who I favored.
Me too.
Yeah, I had no I was
no qualms with going with Joe. Are you kidding me? Like, it's not even fucking.
I thought it was important that Angela won. She gets up there and for Eric, and then Dave gets up there for Josh, which you couldn't have. You needed just one step up, Angela, and it was Dave, and so it was perfect that Dave got up there and did a little speech for one. It showed that you can have division within our own ranks and be civil about it. But then to have Josh come out on top was and
he won by a good amount too. So,
but we all worship the Ginger Jesus. You know that, right? I mean, whatever he commands is what we do, and that's just the thing.
The leprechaun, the sacred leprechaun.
He was going around there on day one with his green vest, and I was like, he's either going to get called over to the craps table to start dealing cards, or he's going to be a leprechaun because he looked like both.
It doesn't help that he's like 4 feet tall too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's true. He's so short. What were some other big takeaways for you guys? Like
the Mises bash.
Yeah. The Ron Paul thing. Shit, I forgot about that totally. Like, how was that?
It was great. They went in there. There weren't very many chairs, so we pulled chairs up. At least I did. And I'll just give a personal story on that real quick, and then I'll let James rattle on about it. Which was my wife. Her friend lives in Reno, and her husband, and they're interested in the Libertarian Party. So my wife had said, "Hey, come to this thing." Now it wasn't a thing specifically for outsiders. It was, we had awards, and they were kind of bored with that. But they were blown away by Ron Paul, first of all, an old, almost 90-year-old guy struggling to get up there, and his brain is super intact. And then Maj Touré blew them away. He pushed back, and he gave kind of "Oh, you think you guys are going to celebrate?" He even said, "Hey, stop clapping" at one point. And he gave a kind of a come to Jesus moment of like, this is the real world. You think you're going to be good? Try the urban community. So I thought it was fantastic. So it was interesting from a person that wasn't just Mises, stacked to and their interest in it. So
James or Leighton,
I did get to listen because somebody recorded it, released it right after it happened. So I was able to listen, and the audio was pretty decent, which I was happy with. Maj's speech was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
that was just what I kind of wanted to hear. Actually, that's something that I've talked about a lot, is like kind of just involvement in general, just getting involved in neighborhoods like that in general, and kind of doing the door knocking kind of stuff, but in a more urban aspect, which is something that I think he is explicitly really good at. So having somebody like that can educate people on it is something that I'm really excited about. And I want to see him speak in person. He's somebody I haven't seen speak.
Yeah. What was Ron Paul's like message? Just like, we're doing it. Like, it was like the 3.0. Like, what was his like overall fucking attitude?
So I just to give my kind of experience, it wasn't much of an experience. I was out in the convention hall with Audrey, and I think Pablo Cerrato and a few of the other sort of LGBTQ sub caucus of the Mises caucus, getting high. So I don't know what was going on during the speeches. I do know that my good friend, candidate for mayor of Minneapolis, Nate Atkins, won the best candidate award in the Mises Bash Awards. So that was pretty cool. But I'm gonna probably have to rewatch the speeches. I remember Maj and thinking, wow, this guy is really sounding harsh. So I didn't pay too much attention. And then by the time Ron Paul was on the stage, I was just completely out of it. I remember I was sitting with Ben Sievers from PA, and that's about it. Someone else will have to recap the speeches for us.
Next thing you remember, you woke up with Bill Cosby, and the rest is history.
It was absolutely
you don't
insane.
wake up with Bill Cosby.
There weren't that many
Bill Cosby.
They did an awards thing, and one of them was the tweet of the year. And I think I'm trying to remember who it was, but I think it was the Star of David one that blew up the internet. You know, right when what are you going to have a pass on your chest that's in a yellow star or something like that. Anyway, that
from New Hampshire, I think that was
one of those. Yeah, I think that was the one that won.
Audrey in the chat just reminded me that we watched Ron Paul together, and it was a spiritual experience. It was a spiritual experience for her because it was the first time she had ever seen.
He got cut off.
Wow.
You got
so emotional.
His joke got cut off. Look at that.
He's frozen with Asian eyes.
Ron Paul was good though. He did kind of ripped on one side and the other, and talked about how they'll argue on the floor, like the Senate or the House, and then they'll go out and eat with each other and be all buddies. So for me, I'm come from the right, and my wife's friend was more of a lefty, so it was amazing because you can see where he is. Oh, he's ripping the left, but he's also ripping the right. So she had points to. He was great. Oh, James left us.
No, I took him out. He could come back when he comes back.
Yeah.
It was weird just him being on the screen, just being like, it's like there you go. Yeah, he got kicked out himself. Try to come back in. Leighton, so what was your takeaway from like as a viewer? Because you watched like way more than I was able to.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, so you watched like everything. So what did you take away as a viewer? Like you felt like you had to be there to get the whole experience, or you felt like you got?
No, I mean ultimately what you're trying to get is a result. But I think the what happens on the floor is substantive because you're trying to see what the sway of the numbers are. What everybody's kind of reactions are to certain things. My big thing was Joshua. I was texting people literally why they were on the floor, trying to get them to vote specific ways and things. So, but even though I'm not there, I think there's organizers that can't make it to things all the time. I really wanted to go to this one. It pissed me off, but I've kind of vouched myself now to going to DC. So,
I mean,
schlep my ass to that horrible place. I've never been there, but
it sucks.
I just hate the idea of going to DC in itself.
It's not great. It's real. It's weird. So it's like it's a shithole. Downtown DC is a shithole. Like it's not nice. It's garbage.
The thing that always made me think DC was a shithole was the fact that I never have heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I've never heard of a single stand-up special that I respect or like that's been recorded in DC. I don't think there's one.
Did Dave Chappelle do one down there?
Chappelle might have actually. Fuck, that might be true.
He might.
But I can't think of a single other one.
There's one, and I can't remember who it was. Fuck. The only reason I know it was in DC was because first he addressed the crowd as our nation's capital, like how you doing, our nation's capital, and then
Robin Williams did one.
He was talking about how clean the subways are in DC compared to NYC. And that's all I remember. Might have been like John Mulaney, or maybe Mike
looks
Birbiglia
like a
or
Fed,
somebody?
That would make sense.
He does dress like a Fed, doesn't he?
DC's weird to do a stand-up special in. They have like one club, I think. Like one comedy club. That's it.
I don't trust a town that doesn't have good stand-up.
They might have two. But it's.
I'm holding out for Hannah Gadsby to be there to go see her.
She's great. How dare you?
Is she?
No.
Just kidding. No.
I was totally kidding.
Might as well say Brendan Schaub.
That's a different. We could do a different episode about that and talk about that for fucking 4 hours.
Christ.
How many people rage quit when they were there? How many people did people just leave when they were there? Like, do you guys notice a drop off of like attendance?
Yeah,
like, day by day.
Like, Brian McWilliams didn't show up for day 2. Dave Smith, I caught him in the lobby as he was walking out on day 3, whatever, the Sunday. So he's like, "Hey, job's done here." Boom, boom, boom. So it was more thin, but I think it was thin on both sides. When Karen Ann shut down Sarwak, he just rage ran from the mic. I think he still was there, but he like almost like he was rage quitting at that point. That was
Karen
great.
Ann banished him.
Right.
Yeah. So both the actual secretary and the fill-in secretary got to chair for a little bit. I was really surprised by John. What's his name? His name
Wilford.
Thank you, John Wilford. I was surprised by his chairing abilities. He was actually pretty good at swinging the gavel and manning the mic. And then, of course, Karen Ann was just a fucking boss. That did not surprise me, but I was very pleased by it. She actually called one of our points of order out of order from the Mises Caucus. It might have been actually my motion, and then Brody from Massachusetts, I think, or maybe Andy Bukovich from Colorado appealed her decision, which was, oh no, it was Andy. I remember his face. He appealed her ruling and felt so bad about it. And I don't blame him. I wasn't going to do it. But she was very professional about it. And
she was great. And that's what we love about her, right? Is kind of the fairness.
Well, I'd rather be fair. Like since we took over PA, and our ex-com is all Mises now. Like we get called out for shit sometimes, and I'm like our guys are like, oh yeah, you know what, that's fair. Like we'll try to fix that or do better. As opposed to like when we used to do that to the old guard, they'd be like, you guys are complaining. Like we don't do that. Like we don't have time. It's like, okay, well, that's why you're out of here. Like you take zero accountability. Like they would always just try to shove us out. So it's always that thing of it's like, yeah, now it's our turn to be fair and don't do what they did. Right? Don't be hypocrites. It's like a big pet peeve of mine. So yeah, I'm glad we get called out for shit if we're wrong. What's your face passed out, right? Whitney Byler, and then
so the chair on the first day that hurt Whitney.
Yeah,
we tried to vote to have her replaced by Molman, and then he gets up there and he's been involved in this whole thing, I think, behind the scenes, and he's like, I don't want to accept it. So you're like, ooh, rat fuck too. And then, it just happened to be, coincidental that she eardrum breaks and whatever. And then he comes in and he was so much different. I mean, it was night and day between the two of them. And you can see why we were trying to get him in position in the first day. And especially when she did that 2/3 one where she's like, nope, doesn't pass. And then it does pass, and even barely. But I mean, you can't eyeball that and say, no, we just got to go to a vote, that's when you realize, oh, she was full of it too.
So I heard it was a ruptured eardrum. Who at the convention drove their own vehicle and has a large horn?
And it was his needle.
So where do you think we go from here? What's the next step? What's the next big move for us? What do you guys think?
I was listening to the Reason Roundtable podcast, and they were all disappointed, except for
Why?
Nick. I listened to all kinds of stuff, and I told Nick when I was talking to him, I said, I love your podcast, your interview stuff, but you're the only one that's even sensible on the roundtable. And he goes, right. And now he might have been just joking with him, but I'm listening again last night, and they're all like, oh, it's so disappointing. Just a bunch of men in there. And I'm like, all the guys I was sitting around, Shane Kiss, Dustin Miller, James Brown, Brian McWilliams, all have wives that are kind of pushing in this. So we may be representing it, but we're not just single men. And Dave gets up there and preaches about being a family man, or, having someone and being this kind of person that you can be respected And that kind of thing, I think, is going to motivate and it's going to carry the party when you have young guys coming in or girls, but you come in with, their spouses, their partners, or what have you, and building this kind of thing going forward. So I think that's where we're at. And I think we got to keep the pedal down and raise the money and then kind of be empowered by this.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add?
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'd say for me, it's a combination of a short-term growth, meaning you got to have a period where we bounce back from losing what little bit of people we did and everything, gearing up messaging, which is the biggest thing for me, getting, grow and keep on winning. Well, ultimately, that is the general goal of this whole thing. But if I were to kind of put it in a little more detail, that's a big thing. So like messaging, getting more people involved. Oh,
Meredith thinks we need tons and tons of gays.
Meredith also spends $1,280 on a check, so I don't know if we should take her judgment.
Yeah, maybe her financial.
I think she had RuPaul as her dessert. I mean, that's an expensive meal.
She ate it off of a hooker. That's what she didn't tell us. That's what it is.
The pudding was only 7 cents. The hooker was 1,200.
She said it was for 10 people. She means that it was 10 individual pieces of sushi on 10 individual hookers.
Yeah. She's like, I just got, we're like, what'd you eat? She's like, sushi? We're like, that's expensive for sushi. She's like, I ate it off a naked Japanese woman. I don't understand. How do you guys eat your
$100 a piece for the hooker, 20 for the sushi.
He's like, I eat my sushi like an 80s businessman. How do you eat your sushi?
This is the Wolf of Wall Street. What movie are you living in?
Then she just hits her.
But I think it's just it's growth. It's getting some growth going, and then which is already happening. I think we're already seeing that kind of post. I talked about on my show last night. We had Styx, Strex and Hammer, and Ricada talked about it on his stream in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Thanks to a super chat. It is already being talked about in these other circles that were at this point sort of outside of the LP because of the way that they had gone kind of woke. So I think we're going to see over the next 6 months or so with the new messaging and everything come on a lot of growth. And that's good. And then we need to turn that into money and campaigning and turn that into a big push in 2024 to do this whole thing over again, but even bigger, and to get an actual, some candidates and things like that going, as well as getting obviously the movement in like more media. That's important too. Yeah, I think that's something that the last LP just completely fucking took a shit on.
You think we think we're gonna get Malice to run the Twitter?
It would be cool, but I don't think so.
Like they might give him the keys to it, but
no one individual is gonna get the keys to Twitter.
I don't mean
so.
Like that. I mean, like
he's gonna be in there.
One of the people who.
Yes, I think he'll probably be one of the people who has the ability to post every once in a while. Because it will be fun. He is specifically good at going after individuals and responding to people, and having somebody like that in your back pocket is great. I mean, basically, when he goes after somebody on Twitter, it's like and Malice fits in your back pocket, so it works. But having somebody like that around who's good at social media, like talking back and forth and bickering, is good.
No, I think it's important for sure. Didn't we already raise like almost $400,000 or something like that?
That's what they're saying.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of fucking money.
We had talked about, I think it was 400,000, and then and that was not including lifetime memberships and all that other stuff. So we are in a better. I mean, we're in a good position. Like I'm really excited for the future in general, because I think at this point, regardless of what we focus on first, we're in a good place to do it. Much better place than I think some people expected. I think a lot of people expected more reeing post Reno, and I talked about on my show last night. I know some people disagree with me, but I think it's been pretty timid. I mean, it's been like, I think collectively maybe 50 posts on Facebook I've seen of people bitching, and that's about it.
Because again, it's the same exact group of people.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you've said, and I think there are some establishment libertarians that are pissed that will voice their opinion. But I also think those people are smart enough to keep it more towards a, business role and less of a social media game. And so those are the people you have to kind of debate against and kind of convince or work around versus these loser brigade types who are just now useless. Like there's no reason to even core with them anymore.
Well, as I've told you a few of you guys already, but Pennsylvania, they started the Keystone Party because they just want titles.
Yeah.
They just want to be able to call. They have 2 secretaries.
They both have dyed hair.
Well, to be fair, the LP had 2 secretaries for the last few months too.
Yeah, but a national party makes sense. A state party that you just started with 7 people doesn't really make sense. But if you all want a title, it makes sense.
Hey. John Waldenberger is a member of that, right?
That's who I was referencing.
He counts as 2 members.
He's one
That's
of
8.
Well,
Give
he's
him
one of the
Well,
he's one of the
Gideon, he did it.
secretaries. And when I say one of the secretaries, he's like,
Oh,
4
then there's 3
secretaries.
secretaries.
Yeah. He finally blocked me on Twitter.
Oh, I have him blocked.
I didn't for the longest time because he was in my county, like he was in my physical county, and to keep the whole basis of like trying to play nice thing, I didn't. But I kind of broke him over the woke plank getting taken out.
Yeah, I blocked him because I called him out on Swamp Creatures and said I would sumo wrestle him in the parking lot of the convention, and we'd throw money down the whole 9 yards. I wanted to fucking film it, make it a whole thing, and then he bitched out. Wouldn't
Yeah. He because he's a dishonest piece of shit.
I was gonna get the wrestling caucus to do it, man. It would have been dope.
He got kicked out of Montgomery County in in PA as secretary because he was lying about he was falsifying minutes and shit. And then he's one of the Keystone Party secretaries.
He has to falsify minutes. He's got to remove the space in between. He wasn't paying attention when he was eating snacks.
I just want to say on the woke stuff. Magoo, a friend of mine, ignore the rant.
Yeah,
he made a comment on Twitter today, which I thought was great. It was kind of the Mises guys pushing back against the woke. Someone's calling him an alt-righter or Nazi or whatever, and then they're defending it. And it's like, I think at this point, maybe the process is just ignore that. I mean, Angela had been on Reed's show, and she's like, look, one of the best things you can do after this whole election, assuming we take it, is just get yourself off of those Facebook groups. And I did that. I was in some stupid non-delegate or delegation.
Yep.
And
I'm I'm out. I don't really care about that anymore. I'm just done with this. And I'm not going to even respond to these stupid people calling us alt-righters or some crazy shit that they do, and it's just like you're piddles, you're nothing, and just push forward. The second thing I would say though is that Dan Smott's video that he did for the Mises Bash. I don't know if you've seen it. When they sync up the comments with he and Ron Paul, it blows me away. It's like electric. It's
I want to give Dan credit because I hate him, but he's. But Dan's very talented, and I hate that I had to say that out loud because he I don't like how I roasted him today, and then his roast got more likes than my initial roast. I don't know why I tried. I just should have went down that road.
I got his phone number while I was there, so if you want me to dox him of some sort, I could do that.
No, I could. I'm taller than him. I could beat him up. Yeah. So, James, where do you think we're going with this?
Well, I think the biggest priorities. So, in addition, obviously, to messaging and getting the social media, set up and stuff, and all that, I think that affiliate relationships is going to need to be one of the biggest priorities. I've been talking with some of the Minnesota people, and you hear a lot in the LNC board, like the what do you call it, the business list, about sending money to states for ballot access and stuff like that. And Minnesota just failed to get 4 statewide candidates on the ballot because we needed 2,000 signatures and we didn't really know how to do it. After the Mises kind of took over the state board, a lot of our more seasoned, experienced people dropped out. Either they left the party completely, or they're just not returning emails and things like that. So we didn't really know the best practices. And I think that probably a little bit of money to hire some professional canvassers might have been helpful, but nobody knew how to do it. We've never accepted money from National Party. We have historically been sort of anti-national. Our former chair's big thing was to say it's not our circus, not our monkeys. and the only role of the national party is to give us a presidential candidate every 4 years.
That seems a bit racist.
Well, I didn't say it, but no, he's super woke. Like, nothing against him, but like he was. I mean, George Floyd happened in Minnesota, and he was like in the streets marching with Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. Which I mean, if he wants to do that, more power to him. Spike was doing it too, but he was trying to make issues coalitions with Marxists and stuff. A little bit. So anyway, I think reaching out to affiliates, and then also the Region 1 statement of collaborative intent between all of their states, I think that getting that to kind of spread throughout the other regions, the ones who are amenable to it anyway, so that states are helping one another and not relying necessarily on national, but also not necessarily relying entirely on themselves, is going to be really helpful as well. So I'm going to be pushing for that in Minnesota and Region 6 going forward. Otherwise, like y'all said, getting the messaging on point and attracting new members.
Yeah, I think I agree with everybody. Everybody had valid points, and everybody's right. We just attract new members, growth, get money, get bitches,
fuck bitches, get money.
Can you put up Daniel W's? We have a story about that.
Yes. So Daniel says it's clear that between that and Dave helping Ron Paul on the stage, Ron has kind of passed the torch to Dave.
So Saturday morning, I go downstairs and Dave is there, standing there with Ron Paul, and no one's around him. As a matter of fact, is when I met Daniel. He came up and said hi, and then we both walked over there, and Daniel and Dave is talking to Ron Paul, and Dan McAdams is there, and Ron Paul is telling Dave, you're the next guy. You're basically telling him, I'm passing the torch. And Dave is all humble. No, it's you. And it was this amazing. And I took a picture of them as this conversation is taking place, because Ron Paul's leaving and he's telling Dave, you are like the new spokesperson of this party. And
I'm crazy, dude.
I get goosebumps thinking back on it. And then Ron Paul turned around and I shook his hand, and he's just.
And he threw his jersey at you and was like, keep it up, kid.
Mic drop. I didn't have a mic. Threw my coffee down.
Threw over to Coke and chugged it.
Had
7 sacks later that night.
Right. This is why I'm saying the convention shined on me. I had so many amazing moments of this little world of ours. So.
He had a gay experience with Nick Gillespie, and he got this history made with Ron Paul.
That's a really cool Dave Smith Ron Paul thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is really
I asked Nick Gillespie, because it was like we're standing over there and he's doing his interview, and I said to Reed, I go, I've always wondered why he wears the black jacket. So then Reed calls him over there and asks him that question. And then I asked him, you're in a situation, you're making love, is the jacket on or off? And I'm not going to tell you what he answered.
Why does he wear the black jacket all the time?
He said he wanted to be a little different. It was kind of just, the Johnny Cash thing in a sense.
Literally not different. Literally old as fuck, but okay. Literally couldn't be an older fucking cliche thing, but sure. Okay, Nick, that's so fucking lame.
And I said to him, are you pigeonholed in this like an actor that's, got a certain role and he can only get that? And he says, I have worn this jacket in 106 degrees going, what the fuck am I doing? But I'm stuck wearing it. So he was super based talking to him. It was a fascinating conversation. So
I had a buddy of mine who lived in Atlanta who wore a fucking leather jacket like everywhere he went. And it was like, it's Atlanta. And I'm like, are you fucking suicidal?
What are you trying to prove?
Yeah, really.
You think better than me? Fuck you. I don't wear sleeves.
Nick kind of informally interviewed me in the line at the at Rosie's Cafe for a little bit. I don't know how well I performed. I'm glad it wasn't like For Reason or whatever. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was nice. It was nice meeting him. Like you were saying, Tyler, he's really the only one with any sense on the roundtable, especially post COVID. When Catherine Mangue Ward took over as editor in chief of Reason, I was so excited because God, yeah, exactly. This was back when like ANCAP versus Minarchist was like the big debate. And so, after years of Matt Welch and Nick Gillespie, the, kind of wishy-washy centrists, we're finally getting some, Rothbardian chick, and she has done nothing but disappoint. And her thing on the roundtable today, which I don't listen to the roundtable very much anymore, but I listened today just because I knew I was going to be on here and I wanted to kind of hear other people's recaps. She said something like, well, I don't like Mises because they don't sound like me. Like, well, I mean,
that's
bitch. What the fuck does that
get
mean?
right then? Jesus,
that's a
I don't know what to say.
That's a truly childlike thing to say out loud as an adult. Like, I don't like it because they don't think like I do. Now, imagine that, but an adult said it for real, like in a real interview. That's a crazy thing. It's like, yeah, man, that's life. we
imagine that, but a potato didn't say it.
Like
she said she was disappointed. She goes, I was thinking beforehand, maybe this be okay, but she goes, when it actually happened, the takeover, I was disappointed. And then, not Nick, Matt makes a comment of his Twitter thread, and he goes, all I'm telling you is, this guy's like, I'm leaving the party now, or something, and he goes, all I'm telling you is read the reactions from the Mises people in there, and that'll tell you everything you need to know. And I'm like, no, it's like when Trump wins or someone else wins, and you celebrate, and you're a little over the top because you guys, if it had happened the other way, we would have been vilified.
Hey, by the way, I want
Adam. I just sent you a DM with some reactions of Mises people after winning, and it's pretty funny. The longer one is the one that was edited by Magoo, and it has different audio on it. The original one is the shorter one, and it has Clint in it, and it's pretty funny. Liberty Lockdown.
Should I play the first or second one?
Play them both. Play the first one first.
All right, hold on.
The shorter one.
All right. Hold on. I'm fucking slow as fuck. Hold on.
This is how I do on my street, too. It takes me 3 years.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
White people.
Of course. By the way, this doesn't look good for us.
This is hilarious.
This looks exactly.
Okay, but play the next one now.
It's post bash. I mean, they're partying. Who fucking cares?
No, I'm busting balls.
Well, someone online was like, "Oh, look, this is the new party," and I'm like, "Is it?"
I was just kidding.
The next one is
okay. Chariots of Fire.
This looks so absolutely hilarious in slow motion.
This looks like a scene in Role Models, the movie. Like it does, like a bunch of autistic kids dressed up in fucking LARP gear, trying to be like, "Oh my god, a girl!" Like,
I just love that Clint is in the background of this entire thing screaming into the microphone. Oh, shit, man.
That's pretty funny.
It was one of the funnier clips I saw from that night.
Yeah, it's wild. What a fucking
that was ridiculous.
Wild.
Why did you make me watch that?
Yeah. Even as a white guy, I was embarrassed.
I was very, but I'm also glad I saw it because I was totally gonna make fun of Clint now. 100%.
But we did that last week.
We did do that, but I kind of didn't because I felt bad because they're my friends.
I was looking more forward to karaoke. I was looking more forward to karaoke on Sunday night than anything else, and I was so exhausted. And Avens O'Brien will tell you, I walked up to her and I sounded drunk. I hadn't had a single drink, but I was just so delirious. And like I said earlier, I couldn't stop crying. It was just such a weird day. So I went and said hi and bye to everybody and then went straight to bed. But I would have done my incredible rendition of Walking in Memphis for you guys if I had any more energy in me.
Oh yeah. Meredith says that you forgot her.
Meredith, I even forgot you tonight on this stream. I was like, wait a second, is that the same chick? So I apologize.
Is that the one that ate sushi? I can't remember.
Meredith, I am curious.
There were so many people who did that there.
Meredith, when we met in person, was that before or after the $1,200 dinner? You were at the bar by then, so I don't even know. We don't need to wait. We don't need to wait the 10 seconds for her to answer that. I have no idea.
I met Meredith and I tripped over my handbag I had, and she was able to hold me up, so that was very nice.
Tyler, I don't think
there's a lot about you.
These are my experiences. Clint did a write-in for me for judicial committee. I was proud of that.
Yeah, we learned that Tyler carries a purse and then is also light enough for a woman to easily catch him while falling.
It was actually my work briefcase, which is pretty stellar, I must say.
You said handbag, though.
The fact that you called it a handbag
said that.
is the problem.
I was going to make fun of you. You said handbag.
I don't know what to tell you. It's this leather briefcase shoulder thing.
Briefcase. Just say
Tyler, what kind of law do you practice? Just out of curiosity.
Family.
Bird.
Oh, cool.
And estate plan.
Bird law.
Do you stand up for fathers' rights?
Bird law. Right.
Are you an MRA?
MRA, what's that?
Men's rights activist? Do you
No,
go to
I
bat
do
for the
both.
dads?
No, there's a law firm in town that talks about all that, but whatever. They're not that great. I do everybody. You got money. I'm a money rights activist.
Same.
Do you do law? What do you do, James?
I don't do law. Jesus. No, I'm a technical consultant for a software company. It's the farthest thing from law. Although I did talk to Beth Vest, and she went to law school online at a school up here in the Twin Cities. I don't want to say this publicly because if my mom ever catches wind that I'm considering it, she'll just never let me hear the end of it if I don't do it. But I'm actually considering doing that program because I have always thought that I would enjoy law. I certainly enjoy parliamentary procedures, so why not take it to the next level?
Right, and why not do it?
That's what I was gonna do before I fucking jumped.
That's what we need is more attorneys.
This is another one of these like.
You guys are fucking nerds.
Was it the Sally Struthers School of Law? Remember when she used to have all these online trucker's assistant?
No, Struthers.
Yeah, am I just way too old for this?
No, I remember it from when I was little. TV VCR repair, truckers.
If I become
programming,
if I become some career and then their assistant, like trucker's assistant is.
If I become self-addressed stamped envelope to this address to receive your catalog today.
If I become a lawyer, my name's gonna be easy. I just gotta drop the Leighton altogether, keep the Jewish last name Radner, and then go by my middle name. He'll keep a Radner at law. The Jewish Jew that has ever Jewed.
You'll be booked till 2057.
Right.
I don't know, man. You probably have to leave Alaska for that, though, right?
Yeah, there's not a law school in the state of Alaska. You can't get a law degree here.
But then you probably get a lot of Jewish clientele, and that might be a little.
Wait, how does that work then? How are the lawyers in Alaska?
They have to get law degrees other places and then pass the bar and do all that shit. You just have to go to law school somewhere else.
Dumb.
Because someone who goes to Yale, they don't necessarily practice wherever Yale's at. They go get past the bar in their state.
Usually every state has one. Is my point.
Did you know that Catherine Mangue Ward went to Yale, Tyler?
No,
she did.
Jesus Christ.
So did G.W. Bush.
The trick is you get a good Jew lawyer in Seattle, and then you have one that can do cases in Alaska, which is all the good ones can. And that's yeah,
they're probably multi-jurisdictional at that point. I mean, if you're going to do Alaska, you don't want to just pigeonhole yourself up there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I feel like if you live in Alaska, you're like, I'll just do Alaskan law.
Right.
Like
you got a polar bear. I don't know.
I would imagine all laws are 90% moose and polar bear related.
It's a lot of stabbings and shootings.
Did you guys see that video? Oh, totally irrelevant to anything we're talking about all night, but that video of that moose chasing that bear and the bear.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, by the way, moose
will fuck shit up. I keep telling people
this. I know they can. I'm an animal nerd, but they are. I didn't realize the disparity of size between that moose and bear was psychotically giant.
A big bull male moose is fucking huge, and they are more aggressive than most bears.
That bear was running full speed, and that moose was easily keeping up with it. And that bear was like, "Yo, I'm out." A bear ran away like a bitch from a moose.
So you're bare hand fighting a moose now, not the cheetah or whatever the fuck you did before.
It's cheetah, and don't be crazy. I will die from a moose. Yeah, I don't like the patronizing.
You can definitely kill a moose with a knife.
I can kill anything with a knife. Like, and that's not the point.
Bare hand,
I can kill for sure a cheetah with my bare hands.
We've talked about this. Yes, I agree with you.
40 pounds. Thank you.
There's only one way
I can choke a cheetah to death.
Someone get a
cheetah. Pop a cheetah's eyes out of its dumb, cute face.
I'm ready to watch.
I'm confident that I can pin and choke a cheetah.
You guys are going to make me kill a cheetah, and that's your fault. That cheetah is on your hands because you just won't take my word for it. It's your fault. I think you guys want to see cheetahs die.
You
guys are crazy.
Can I ask the question?
Start a live stream driving through the desert with a truck.
Safari.
In the back.
I captured 7 cheetahs. I'm going to kill them each for you now, Tyler. This is your fault. Now 7 cheetahs have to die. This is the last 7 they had.
Okay, Jack Hanna. James, I've asked people this question. What was your most interesting person that you met, or the person you wanted to meet the most that you did?
Oh, probably Funkhauser. No, not really. I mean, he was interesting. It was good to meet him finally. God, I don't know. That's kind of an on the spot question. No, I've met him before.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I've been to these things and I've been traveling the country for the last 2 years, kind of going to these damn conventions. So I've met all the celebritarians, which is neat.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I met you for the first time. That was awesome.
You're the first person to answer that. Thank you.
I've met James. I've met Tyler, and I've met Adam. I've met everybody on this.
Not in
We've
person.
met Leighton. Where did we meet?
I've met every single one of you in person.
When did we meet?
No, actually, I haven't met Adam.
No, I was gonna say we definitely never met.
No, wait. Were you at Tom Woods 2000?
No.
No. Okay, I did not meet you, but I met James.
Okay.
And I did meet you, Tyler. I think were you at Tom Woods?
No.
Okay, no, I'm thinking of somebody else. So I've met one of you then.
Dave
Sorry.
Casey.
That went 0 to 100 to 0 real quick.
I was thinking about it, and literally as I was saying it, I was like, I think I'm literally thinking of somebody different
Some other
podcast space. But listen, here's the thing. I got
bye, Karen. Who the fuck is Funkhauser?
He's a dude from Pennsylvania via Colorado back to Pennsylvania pretty soon.
Joe, do I know this guy? Joe's my chair in Bucks. Joe, do I know this guy? Tell me if I know this guy. I don't know that. I don't think I know who that is.
His real name's Mark Cavan, if that helps. I don't know how long he's been going by Funkhauser, but like he goes by Funkhauser so solidly that like even his convention name tag says Funkhauser.
Who the fuck is
Toad's name tag said Toad. I was impressed.
I don't know him, Calvin. Thank you.
If I had gotten one, I would have had to have made him say Chumley.
I think you can pick what your dad
thing.
says it, so that's
who else? So I know I've met Clint before, but Clint didn't remember meeting me the first time, so he gave me a huge hug, and that was fun. At the Dave Smith show, Reed Coverdale like saved me a seat next to him and Liam McCullough, so that was fun.
Yeah, we sat behind you.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Pablo Serrato, who you probably don't know him, but we've been Facebook friends for years and years and years. So it was nice meeting him. A lot of these people were just people I've been interacting with online forever. So
have you ever like gone through your Facebook friend list, like really sparsed over that shit?
Kind of. Hold on, Calvin. What's in 2 weeks at Vault? Sorry, but I don't know what that means. Tell me what that means. Sorry, Lane, good.
I have never really combed through it, and I've got a decent amount of friends on there from the last like 6 years or so. And I started going through my friend list, and I think everyone will be surprised that you have a couple people on there. You're like, how did I become friends with somebody who's been like on Fox News a bunch, or like this writer for CNN that's like I've got people on my friends list who are like journalists, like journo bros for like like GQ and shit. And I'm like, where did these people come from?
Yeah, just by doing comedy, you meet like really famous people sometimes, very casually though. Like and like I'll try to play like sometimes, like, especially like at New York play like clubs, like you'll like run into like some celebrity like in the hallway going to the bathroom. And you're like, "What's up, man?
Yeah.
What's up, Bradley Cooper?"
I think it's because I worked in restaurants and hotels, and you would just randomly meet people and shit. And the thing Facebook would always do back in the day was it would push whoever you would like be in the general vicinity of or interacted with throughout the day, was how their algorithm worked. So I would just friend people, and that's kind of how I grew out that little base on Facebook. And now it's like useless, because if you post a link on Facebook now, it goes nowhere. you can post a link to a show, and if you've posted a link that goes to another place but Facebook, it's not being seen by any motherfuckers.
Is that why you have to put it in the comments, they say?
Yes, that's exactly why.
And
even then it's throttled platform. To an extent.
Yeah, I know. Which is like how can like this, how can we spread our podcast or like whatever, or like shows, a comedy?
Well, because I've got like 800 people on Twitter, right? So you'd think if I put out a YouTube link in a tweet, half of those people might see it throughout the day if I posted a day early. But you can go back and look at those analytics. I know that's not true, because the interactions and the stuff just doesn't make sense. So you can kind of gauge what's being done there behind the scenes. It's like if you put a link to your YouTube thing in the second tweet below it, it actually gets more traction and it'll be seen by like 20 to 30% more people.
Tweet or Facebook post?
Both. Tweet will be, it's a lesser margin on Twitter, but on Facebook, it's huge.
Yeah, Facebook, it's always been, well, not always, but for the last several years. But yeah, I've started hearing about it on Twitter too. I don't follow my metrics or analytics or anything like that, so I don't really know. But yeah, that's what I keep hearing. That's why like P. Quinones, he'll like put a screenshot of his podcast, but he puts all of his links underneath them in subtweet, or not subtweets. What are they called? Like comment tweets or whatever.
Yeah, I think I should start doing that then.
You build the thread.
Yeah, just build the thread.
I don't know if this is an issue, but I tried to post a link to my interview with Mark Claire after his Mises Caucus thing in the Mises Caucus group, and it never. I don't know. Maybe they didn't approve it.
They probably just didn't approve it. Hey, how did that go, Tyler? I didn't listen to that. I'm a huge fan of Mark Claire, and I kind of have one foot in that post-libertarian kind of thing, so I'd love to know.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it went really well. First of all, he was super nice, and so I just had a good time. And then telling jokes and kind of had, but I pushed back on him, as much as it's not a place for me to have a debate with him. It's over and done. By the way, I was really interested. I didn't know that you were a delegate, James, so I was happy to see you there because I see online where you're kind of, like you said, 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I thought it went great. I mean, check it out. I do a little review of his thing, and then he comes on and we talk about it.
Cool.
But yeah.
The last time I talked to Mark, he had not gone like full on. I'm not gonna say anti-Mises, but he hadn't made his full flip yet. So, hey, is the Calvin in the chat? Calvin M.
Yeah.
Adam. Okay, great.
Yeah,
I love that dude so much.
No, Calvin.
That's another person I've met a ton, but like hanging out with him this weekend was just great. He's one of my favorite people.
The post-libertarians are fake and gay.
No, I was even saying this myself. I was like, I feel like I hit, because like our whole thing was like, you guys can't do a good job, so we could do a better job, right? Well, if we can't do a better job, where do you go from there?
Right. I mean, it can't get much worse. So.
I have
for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying though, that's why I'm kind of with you. Is like, it's like, hey, if we, let's say in 5, 6, 7 years, we're stagnant or nowhere, or we're failing just like they did. Hey, I'm gonna have to be like, I'm just gonna stick with the philosophy and just fuck this political game shit. Like, what do you do? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But that's how I don't know. Who knows how I feel.
My thing is kind of, I'm 51 years old. Okay, so I'm probably much older than all
old, gay. No,
right. And I've been politically active since I was 18 or so in the Republican Party, and I've just had it. It's done nothing for me. When you were fully in power not too long ago with Trump and the whole Senate and the House, what did you do about pushing back healthcare or whatever? It's a joke. So I'm like, you're like that mom that's a whore out there, and I'm the kid that thinks that mom still loves me, and dad and mom are going to get back together. No, fuck you, the Republican Party. So you're either going to say don't vote, or you're going to say vote with the Republican Party, and that's, to me, I mean, I'll push them on certain platforms and people local that someone is making a comment of
here's the thing,
Mark Lee or Lee out in Utah. You push those kind of people, but we're not. You do a libertarian to swing the vote.
Can you bring up that last message, Adam?
Yeah.
Pete and Mark and everything. The Mark and Pete like to troll. There's too much difference between most libertarians and post-libertarians. I'm gonna take this question because this is kind of the way that I prefaced it on my show. I don't have an issue with Mark. Mark's thing is completely separate. There was some pushback with Pete and me. He blocked me on Twitter.
He blocked a lot of people on Twitter.
He likes to troll. He likes to troll.
Me too.
But I have a certain etiquette to trolling that I run by, and everybody else in my kind of circle that comes from my era of the internet runs by. He broke that in many ways, which I dislike. And I talked about that deeply. I know some people in the libertarian space get that, and it's separate. It's an internet culture thing versus a libertarian culture thing. But I think the post-libertarian thing is useful in a lot of ways, because you have a lot of Republicans that are on this fence, like the Rand Pauls of the world, like these influential people in the liberty space that are still Republicans. Like, that is a good portion of the Republican base is actually getting a little bit better in a way. And I know a lot of people hate talking about this, but like, there are younger people coming into the Republican Party that are pushing some of these older people out. And the more that happens to the party, there's going to be kind of a shifting in the Republican space. where I do believe there'll be more of an opening of Republicans that are like, I have more based opinions than the Republicans that are currently running the party. And those people,
post-libertarians are trying to attract libertarians more than I think they're trying to attract.
Yeah, but they fail at it. Like, they're not successful.
Yeah, so then it seems they're fruitless in a sense. Like, I get a lot of their concepts, but some of it's
at the end of the day, the GOP Mises side of things, right? Mm-hmm. Like their angle, that post-libertarian angle is more of what I think is applicable or applicable to that situation. Applicable. Yeah, sorry. I'm a dumbass. Applicable to that situation is more so the GOP Mises saying we want to influence the GOP. We want to be like, hey, we want to move you more towards this angle, because I think by them doing that, they don't realize that's just going to push those people more towards us anyway at the end of the day, because the Republican Party is never going to accept what I think a legitimate view of like a GOP Mises or post-libertarian group. I just don't see the Republicans ever actually accepting that and putting it into practice. And maybe that happens in the future, but at the same time, like, we're doing the libertarian thing over here. So if those coordinate with each other, then that's a win-win for both of us, and who fucking cares? Where there's conflict is like Tyler said, where, well, they're trying to garner libertarians over to their movement above us. And it's like, well, yeah, the truth is they're just not winning at that, right? Like, that's the marketplace ideas. And when we look at the results, like, we just took the largest third party over and now have control of the party. Like, they have pretty much what they started with.
And I think that's why I like Buck Johnson. He comes across as sincere, and he's doing his thing, his niche thing. And he doesn't trash, I mean, he kind of does, but not to the same extent. And I think that's acceptable. If you want me over there, back in the early 1900s, our whole country was very religious. Okay. So churches went after other people by fire and brimstone. You come over to our side because you're going to burn in hell if you don't.
There were a bunch of Jewy fucks doing it too.
That's the feeling I get from them, rather than like saving you by, convincing you. It's like, you're a piece of shit. You can't do all these things. You can't get your life together. So come over here with me. And I'm like, well, actually, we're not going to stack up our lives against each other. But if we did, let's do it.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like who just said it in the chat. You'll never know whether or not you can do a better job until you try. It was like, yeah, that's my point. Totally. Right? Like, we can definitely try. To look at it. For sure. Like, you have to try.
And that's how I look at it. Like, do it.
I encourage anybody who's curious to read Angela's strategic plan, whatever she's calling it, strategic plan book thing. I mean, it's really good. It's the first time that anybody's ever really strategized, which I don't know why that's not really a thing in our circles, but I think that in itself gives us kind of a leg up over the predecessors. Speaking of Angela, the Michael Malice interview with Angela is going to be premiering here in a couple of minutes over on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, let's wrap it up here. Right, guys, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on. Reno Reset, fucking let's kick ass next.
Follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, give your plugs real quick so we all can go watch the other thing. Leighton, go.
Follow me on Twitter and check out Outlawed Thoughts on YouTube.
Tyler.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter, Tyler, TYLERJANKE on Twitter, and check out my show, Libertarian Podcast Review. Thanks, Leighton, especially Adam, for having us on, and James. Once again, it was great to meet you. Glad you didn't shun me.
James, plugs.
James LJ on Twitter. That's pretty much all you need. I host Blackbird. I've really been neglecting my audio feed, but I'll be uploading those soon, and you can catch it live on YouTube. I'll be interviewing Pavel, the crypto trader, this weekend, I think on Saturday evening. So make sure to tune in for that. Thanks a lot, Adam. Nice to talk to you guys.
Yeah, of course. Always. Again, follow me, Twitter. Come out, see me do stand up. Go follow Cult of Us. Download the shit. Peace. Love everybody here. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Find Adam on social media, Twitter and IG @AdamNutter, or Facebook and TikTok @AdamNutterComedy. And for podcasts and merch, check out www.droptent.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.